And today we have the beautiful pleasure of having Nereida Castillo, President and Community Service Chair of the Rotary Club of Sunrise, Florida. It's a club that's all about service above self. From community gardens to family volunteering, Nereida's leadership is about building spaces where people and purpose thrive. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So how did you get started in the Rotary?
I was introduced to Rotary a long time ago when I was in high school. I went to school in Western High School, and there was an Interact club there. I was not part of the Interact club then, but I did participate in one of their events. I volunteered at the golf tournament that they do every year. The Rotary Club does there in Weston. And I was able to go, and I met Dan Marino, which was pretty cool. So that's my first introduction to Rotary ever. And then along the way, I went to school, I went to college. I actually studied nonprofit management, and I got my master's in it. And that was the ideas for me to, I've always loved giving back to the community and serving. And so ideally that was what I wanted to do. And I wasn't able to do that after I graduated, which is okay. But I was still kind of looking to fulfill that role because that's always the type of person that I always was. Working in a business that I owned then, I joined the Chamber of Commerce in Sunrise.
Okay.
And I met John Cross. He was part of the Rotary Club of Weston, and so we got talking, saying, I remember when I volunteered for the golf tournament. And so that's how we got started. He invited me to actually join the Rotary Club of Weston because he was part of that club at that time. And, I wasn't feeling it, so I didn't join. But then he came about a couple months later and said to me, you know what? I want to start my own club here in Sunrise. There's one in Sunrise. You want to join me? And I'm like, oh yeah, I'll go to a meeting. And so I went to a meeting, just knowing based on my history of what I experienced with Rotary. I was like, okay, I was intrigued. Mm-hmm. And then he said, well, we have a couple people here. They're just kind of interested in doing some different things. One person's interested in doing community gardening. And I was like, yes, that's me. And I'm like, I'm on. And I signed on right there. And ever since then, it's always been just like a whirlwind of fun and giving back to the community, which has always been my massive passion. So yeah, it's how kind of got started.
So I know that you guys and Sunrise are a little bit of a newer group compared to a lot of other Rotaries that have been around for a lot longer. How long have you guys been established?
Yeah, so we chartered our club 3 years ago.
Okay.
So we are actually the newest club.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so,
the newest. Okay.
Right. So we're, the youngest club. And John Cross, who I had mentioned earlier, he was the first president. And then after so in Rotary, your presidency only lasts 1 year. Mm-hmm. And then after that, you rotate. And so I was the next one. He did about 1.5 years. And then I took over after that. And so that's where my position has been ever since then.
So then you've actually taken on a couple terms.
Kind of. He had taken on the first year kind of just to help grow the club. He's the one that had the most experience. And then he said, well, let me do the second year after kind of just making sure everything was established.
Gotcha.
And then he had to have a back surgery, so he couldn't continue the year. And I said, I'll take over because I knew I was president-elect at that moment. I knew I was going to take over that next year. So I was able to take over right then and there.
That makes a lot more sense. Yeah. So you kind of work together to make sure that somebody was standing up to leadership.
Yes.
Perfect. You just mentioned community gardening, and that's really a big initiative for you because I definitely heard it when I actually showed up to the meeting. Yeah. So can you share a little bit more about how you're starting and how it's helping, the community as a whole? So
the idea with community gardening first started because I'm not sure if you're familiar with Sunrise itself, but it's a very commercial heavy city and not a lot of there are residents in Sunrise, of course, but there isn't a lot of access to healthier foods, and if there is, it's a little more expensive. So my idea or my initiative or my thinking was allow people to have access to fresh fruit, vegetables for free in their own backyard. and lower our carbon footprint. Just a lot of stuff that comes with community gardening. I visited before, and this is the main reason why I was like, oh, yes, it was because I had visited community gardens in other cities. There's one in Dania, Miramar. I mean, there's a community garden in almost quite a bit of cities. And I fell in love right then and there. And I just saw how people were involved, how much they loved what they were doing. It's very therapeutic. And then on top of which you're getting free food. So I was like, wow, this is really cool. Something that Sunrise, really needs, especially having a large senior population in Sunrise. My idea, again, was to put in not only community garden, but food forests, which are trees, fruit-bearing trees that people would just pick and grab and go. And we wanted to have them in the city parks because Sunrise does have a lot of city parks there. So just a little area that would be a food forest, and anytime someone would be in the park, they could just have access to it. So that's where we were going with that. That's the idea.
Is that still the future route then?
Absolutely.
So besides the city parks, how is the availability for land? Because honestly, you do need some land for community gardening and trees and planting and all of this.
So the way it was looking, the city was saying we would need to contact private, companies or businesses and use their land, or maybe a hospital or something like that. Okay. That's why I like the idea of having it at a city park, because the city park is already spacious and people already go to there, and there's so many parks in Sunrise that I said, look, they already have access to these parks. We can have them just go there already and have the food forest and access to those foods there. So that was the idea with that. But yeah, there isn't a lot of space because, like I said, most of it's commercial space.
Right.
You need to have, I don't know if it's permitting or the zoning and stuff for that kind of, for those kinds of
initiatives.
Yeah, they don't have very much availability for that stuff. So, that's why they were pushing us to go towards more like hospitals and whatnot. But so since we have been having a struggle with building our initiative for community gardens, we said, well, let's just step back a little bit and see what we can do. And so the city is striving to be like a pollinator plant city, I guess I would say. They are encouraging butterfly gardens, and so what they do is they plant pollinator plants in all of their city parks because they are trying to help with the pollinator population, and which in turn helps with food. You can't, I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but pollinators help the ecosystem with making
all
food.
The growth, all of the sustainability is so important.
Exactly. So I said, well, if the city is a big, makes pollinators pollinator plants and pollinators a big deal, let's start there.
Sure.
Let's work with the city in that aspect. And so we got a contact from the city. They said that there was, they were looking to, they found a contact for a Broward County library. They needed help with a garden there, and that's what we did. We established a garden there, and we maintain it still to this day. And that way we can kind of build our resume for the city, so that in the future when we say, look, this is what we've done, they'll say, okay, well, you know what, we believe you can do more, so let's do the next step. Hopefully that's where we can go with it.
And that makes sense because honestly, it's specifically your chapter or club is still kind of relatively new. So they need to see a little bit more of how you're going to work with the city, how you're going to make everything move forward.
Right.
So that makes sense.
Right.
So Rotary's motto is service above self.
Right.
And so how does that shape your outlook on leadership and community?
Actually, so I've always been involved in my community. That's what I mentioned to you before. Always. Even when my 15-year-old was in my stomach, and I was very pregnant. I would be going out and helping in the community. I started with Hands On Broward, which is what it was called before it became Hands On South Florida. And I would look on their events calendar, and I would look for events that I can do, things that were close to me, and I would do it. And then when my children were born, I would bring them with me, and they would do everything with me. There's pictures of me, like, because I have 3 kids. So there's pictures of me with my 2 boys and my daughter in my belly, and we're just kind of shoveling dirt or whatever we're doing, or picking up trash from the beach. Because my thinking was, well, I've always loved it, first of all. And second of all, I wanted to instill those same values in my children. I wanted them to be able to give back to the community the way I did, because, community's just so important. And so that's why they're always with me. Everywhere I go and whatever I do, my kids are there with me. So I think in a sense, I wouldn't say it helped me build community or leadership. It was kind of the other way around, just because I've always been so involved even from when I was little. Yeah.
So you said that you were helping Hands On South Florida, or I was Hands On Broward at the time, but so what is some of the different communities, or should I say the nonprofits, that your Rotary Club is specifically helping right now?
Right. So I'll give you a little backstory first. Our Rotary, all Rotary clubs have what they do is they provide volunteer opportunities, and they fundraise, right? So what we support the charities that we want to support, and we when that charity is looking for volunteers, we help out, or when they need funds, we fundraise for them. Okay, so right now we have about 4 charities that we support. One is MD Scarlett. It's a human trafficking organization. Then we have the Broward JROTC, a support association, and of course the Alzheimer's Association, and NAMI, and our Community Garden Initiative as well.
And that one's more of a service project that you guys, as the Rotary Club specifically, are like.
Yeah, that's ours. Right. So it's not like we're supporting another organization. That's what we are creating. Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Yeah.
So you're doing your own initiative, and then also you're supporting 4 to 5 other nonprofits in the local area. Can you tell us any of the stories of working with these nonprofits and how, they've responded to you helping them fundraise, or, just the community volunteerism?
MJ Scarlett, we have worked with them a lot. They do different types of volunteer opportunities, like homeless outreaches, seminars for youth, and we collaborate together. They'll contact us and they'll say, "Hey, we're looking for this. Can you help us out?" And we, if we can, we will. If we can volunteer, we will also. And then they in turn come back and say, we'll help you promote your events as well. But, the idea is for us to support them more than the other way around. So,
sure. What is the way that you guys volunteer or fundraise? Like, how are those programs or those initiatives started?
So for them in particular, we didn't fundraise. We only provided volunteer opportunities, and when they did request funds, which we have, because we have funds through other fundraising initiatives, then we would provide it to them. So I'll give you an example. I think last year was, they do a homeless outreach every year. And we went out and we volunteered with them. It's in Fort Lauderdale. It's in Fort Lauderdale every year. And they just go out, they collect clothes, food, water. They have other organizations kind of come with them, specifically NAMI, because sometimes there's people that are homeless that
they need some mental health and some other,
right. And so what we did was we just kind of gave clothes and food away to them, and spoke to them, talked to them, just let them feel that they're we're with them, and that we support them and want to help them as well. In my eyes, I brought, because I always bring my kids with me, I wanted them to see what it's like on the other side. I want them to get that kind of exposure so that they're not, they're not wearing blinders. I want them to see what's out there.
They see the world as it is versus, this
bubble.
This bubble.
Live in the bubble.
Social media is a very good example of that. Sometimes it just shows the possibility, or it shows the perfect, the beautiful side. It doesn't show the other side that is still something we're struggling with. Sometimes it's internal, sometimes it's external. And there's a lot of people that need help, and they just need to have a space to go to ask for help. And that's one of the most important pieces that you can do, is know you need to ask for help and then actually doing it,
right.
Asking for help. I think a lot of us get stuck like, oh, I'll just handle it myself. I'll do it myself. And while we all try to do that, it's not always the right space or the right moment.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. I mean, sometimes you don't even notice. And I know it's happened to me. I mean, I know I've had anxiety issues in the past and whatnot, and I've had a great support system within Rotary. Just talking to them. I've made friends with all of my club members, and whenever I go or have gone through something, they've been there, supporting me in whatever I've been dealing with, and vice versa. Same with them. One of our members who had passed away recently, he was struggling with being able to pay for something, and so we would go and we'd help him. We think of wanting to work and help our community, but at the same time, we can help within our club as well. If there's someone there that's struggling, we would help them too, or they would help me.
So it's almost an extension of family, and
absolutely,
you build deeper relationships within this club. So it's not just a group of individuals just getting together and meeting.
Right.
You're actually making relationships. You're forming bonds. You're forming ways that you can support each other and help each other through
absolutely
tough times. And you get to also give back to the community. Mm-hmm. And that's part of...
Yeah, because we're all like-minded individuals. We all have the same, I wouldn't say the same goals, but we all think the same. The way that I was when I was little, and I loved giving back to the community and working, helping others. They all are the same. And what's even better is that we're a group of business entrepreneurs. We all or own our own business, or we're business professionals. And so we all share a lot of likenesses. And that's the kind of people that you want to, that if that's, that's what you're into, or if that's what you do, then yeah, that's the kind of people you want to be around.
So one of the other things that I know we had talked about is you have an annual pet show, and it's called Pawsitive.
The Pawsitive Love Pet Show. Yes, we do every year. It's the third year coming, on Valentine's Day, actually, coming up soon. And it's a fundraiser. Originally, in the years past, we were supporting our community garden initiative. And now for this year, we're adding an additional organization that we're supporting, which is UFAR Rescue. And in collaboration and partnership with them, we're trying to find more funding so that we can get more money for them and for our initiative, our community garden initiative.
A lot of nonprofits and community programs that we've been looking at and have on the show are always looking at these collaboration opportunities to either they both go in for a single grant. And it wasn't necessarily that common to do that in the past, but now it's almost become the norm.
Yeah.
Because grantors want to give more the same amount of money, but they want to give it in something that's going to be bigger.
Right.
It's not just a single initiative. It's like, oh, you're partnering with this nonprofit or partnering with this community project to make a bigger difference in the community. And they see that as a better opportunity to continue to give their money in a different way.
And in a bigger way.
In a bigger way.
Of course.
And so it's more impact, it's more exposure, it's more benefit for the entire community. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm super glad that you guys are connected. And the name of that was UFAR?
UFAR Rescue.
UFAR Rescue. Perfect. And so how do people get to be a part of or connect and be a part of the Rotary Club of Sunrise, Florida?
So we ask if you're interested or you'd like to join, come to one of our meetings. We have a meeting on the 2nd and 4th Monday. You can visit our website and you'll have all the information on when we have our meetings. Just come and see our club, see what we do. Maybe that's you like and you're interested in community gardening as well. And you say, I want to help. Let me see how I can help. Come to our meeting. And come to our meeting and learn more about what our club does. Once you first come to our meetings, when you come to one of our volunteer opportunities and you get exposed to what Rotary does, and once you come, you'll be exposed to so much, you'll want to come back, And when you do come back, then we can invite you to become a member.
You might look at yourself as just a small pebble in the whole grand scheme of it, but a pebble makes a huge ripple in the ocean.
That's true.
So it can still make waves no matter what the size of any organization.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about a worldwide organization with millions of people involved. I mean, it's not just our club, We have many, many clubs, like I said, all over the world. And it's really cool because not only are you part of your club, but you're also part of this organization where if you go to visit another area, go to another country, you can look for a Rotary Club in that area and visit them, and they'll treat you just like if you were family. Exactly that way. The way we would treat you if you were to come to our club. We would, accept you with open arms and, pat you in the back and hug you. It's just great,
I honestly have to say, showing up to the meeting recently, I was kind of shocked because I was like, all right, I wasn't really knowing what I was coming into. But you guys kept it very friendly and I had an opportunity to talk.
Yeah.
Which, I got a little extra time, which was kind of nice to just explain who I was and what I do for the community and how I can help. And then when we got to connect a little bit further, you're here on this podcast. So it kind of all worked out really well for collaboration.
Of course, it's great.
So what is the website? So if anybody is looking for more information, what is the website for your club?
It's www.rotaryclubofsunrisefl.org.
Perfect. Mm-hmm. And so the last question that I really ask everybody that comes on the show is, what is the legacy that you personally want to leave for future generations?
My biggest thing is to make sure that whatever we do gets passed down to generation. So that's why I bring it up so much. I do this with my kids because I want them to be able to do it, and then they do it with their kids, and so on and so forth. I think it's just so important to give back to the community and to expose everyone, even at a small age, to helping others. It's very important.
100%. Yeah. I never actually got as much opportunity to do volunteer work when I was growing up. But then when I went to college, I kind of got into a group that started my journey into service and community work. And now I'm doing it on a regular basis, making sure I'm giving back to the community in one way or another.
Oh, yeah. So that's good. Oh, I'm glad you were able to find that place.
I found my path.
I found your path. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much again for coming on the show. It has been a pleasure. And if you guys are interested in checking out Rotary,
just visit the website, www.rotaryclubofsunrisefl.org.
Thank you again so much.
And thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. And this was great, working with you. You guys make it seem so easy, and I had a lot of fun. Hope that you can come back to visit us again at our club, and everyone else as well. We invite you to come and check us out. You'll have lots of fun, I promise.